Lawmakers on the left across the country have been playing a little dirty. I mean, the right did it too many years, don't get me wrong, but against the right in the last 5 years for sure. Since the start of the Biden administration, there's been a lot of it. The Democrats took dirty to entirely new lows, many have said, weaponizing government agencies, using lawfare to lock up political opponents, etc. One of the left's darlings, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, that's my impersonation of Gretchen Whitmer, has used her office to suppress the Republican Party in her state for years. Well, in January, the Democrat state senator from Michigan's 35th Senate district became a U.S. Congresswoman, but the district always goes back and forth, Democrat, Republican, more traditionally Republican. The state constitution in Michigan says the governor is supposed to call a special election to replace the senator so that people have representation. But more than 200 days later, no election has been scheduled. Why? I'll tell you why. Democrats in the state Senate have a one-vote majority, and the 35th Senate district is a toss-up. So a lawsuit has now been filed to compel Whitmer to schedule an election. The man who broke that story is with us, former mainstream media news anchor Dave Bondy, editor of the Keeping It Real newsletter and host of Keeping It Real with Dave Bondy on Substack. You know, Dave, when I used to have people at Channel 7 toss to me with that kind of a toss, I'd say, okay, thanks, back to you. Telling the whole story. But it's such a... Does that set it up right? I mean, is that what's going on there in Michigan?
Yeah, absolutely. Hope you can hear me okay. I'm on my phone. Had some technical issues this morning. Yeah, that's basically it. And it's political. And the one thing I had the problem with this is this has been going on since January. Not one reporter has questioned her about it when they have had the chance to do it. So I emailed the governor's office. I did not get a response. No other reporter that I know of has actually asked her in person about this. And there have been Republican governors who have done this in the past, but this is a very long time. And it happens throughout the country, but it is obviously what many are saying is political, because if she were to call a special election and the Michigan Senate would be tied, it still could go her way because the lieutenant governor would have the tie-breaking vote, and he is a Democrat, obviously, but that would get a whole lot of other issues. All it would take is one Democrat to flip over, and so the governor is taking a calculated risk. Experts are saying, to do this, does it hurt? Because everything she's doing now is going to be brought out if she does run for president. So some are saying taking a risk by doing this.
Yeah. And, and yes, you're right. Republicans have certainly done this. I could, in fact, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of several different cases throughout our region in the Northeast where we are, where that's happened. But I don't recall it happening when you have a one vote majority and that it would cause the tip topping. I see Republicans delaying. I've seen them delay like 3 months, not 200 days. When you're talking 7, 8 months, what you're doing is depriving the electorate of having representation, which is against the constitution of your state. They have just about every state, because most of the state constitutions mirror the federal constitution. You can't deprive taxpayers. That's taxation without representation. That is against the law. So, there's a point where I can understand it costs money, et cetera, et cetera. But at least if she said, we're going to wait till November, they'd have an idea. But to just say, when we get to it, we get to it. What you're doing is legally depriving people who pay taxes from having the representation that they are entitled to under the Constitution.
And that's part of the lawsuit that was filed. And I've checked with some legal constitutional experts, and they're saying the Constitution in Michigan says she shall call an election. So the courts, the experts aren't sure how they're going to rule on this because it doesn't say a time frame. But as you're saying, common sense would tell you, yes, call the election. I live in this area, actually, that is in this district. So I don't have representation myself in the Michigan Senate. So this lawsuit is going to test the Constitution wording. What is shall call an election? If she doesn't, then the next one would naturally come in November of 2026. So we could go that long. But the judge has ordered her. I put an update out yesterday. The judge has ordered her to respond to the lawsuit. So it's very interesting. And everything she's doing now is under the lens of President Whitmer, because as many know, she was possibly one of the finalists for VP for Joe Biden. And now many people thinking she will be one of the, what, dozen on the Democrat side that could be running for president.
Yeah, I was reading the judge ordered a writ of mandamus, which is mandamus in Latin, and that's the way it's pronounced in Latin. Is we shall command, or we command, and a writ meaning a letter. So a letter saying we command you to respond. But the judge stopped short of ordering her to actually do the election. That's the thing. The judge could have said, you must have the election, but instead the judge said, you shall respond to the lawsuit. So I mean, Governor Whitmer could respond to lawsuit by going, like that if she wanted to, and then it would have to go to the next level. So it was interesting. I read that the political background of the judge who did the writ of mandamus was also a Democrat, by the way. So it's kind of curious. I was wondering if they were more conservative, if they would have just said, well, you should respond, if that would have been the same reaction.
Well, and then we have, if it does work its way up, we have the Michigan Supreme Court, which is almost all Democratic leaning. So this may not go anywhere. Experts say most likely it will not, but the lawyer doing this pro bono, he stood up, he lives in this area as well. We'll see where it goes, but it's just unusual. It's been since January, early January, that this has happened. And I've had several people reach out to me that said I should run for the open Senate seat in Michigan. I want no part of that. But here's the thing, even the lieutenant governor, who is a Democrat, he is saying they need to call a special election. The attorney general in Michigan, who is a Democrat, says they need to call it. So in Michigan, the top brats are starting to turn on each other, are starting to turn on the governor, which it's very interesting now. So you have even Democrats saying that this is not proper.
In Michigan, Dave, does the lieutenant governor run independent of the governor, or are they both on the same ticket?
Both on the same ticket. Yeah, basically the vice president. She appoints him, and now he's splitting with her. But he is also running for governor in 2026 because she is term limited. So she's done, and now he is getting away from her.
Here's the bus, and here's Whitmer from the lieutenant. That happened in New York. By the way, New York State has a history of that. They run on the same ticket, but lieutenant governors have thrown the governors under the bus 100 times. It goes back about 40, 30 years in New York, I recall, in New York politics. They always throw the governor under the bus. I mean, the perfect example, Kathy Hochul right now. She was lieutenant governor. Governor Cuomo handpicked her. And the minute that he got into trouble, she threw him right under the bus. Okay, adios, Andrew. Tough ciao. Now, the thing
Oh.
that, first of all, this District 35 in your state, does it look like a Republican could win the seat? Because it's traditionally Republican, but now it's sort of purple, right?
It's yeah, purple is it's a toss up. President Trump won this area, so not sure. Actually, it has Flint, Michigan, Saginaw, Michigan, where I am, but that's the fear probably amongst the governor. It could go Republican because there's a lot of pushback lately in Michigan over net zero green energy legislation that has been pushed. A lot of things economically depressed in Michigan, so it very well could go to a Republican, and they may not want to risk that at all.
Yeah, we're going through that in New Jersey. We're sitting right now because the Democrats who control everything in the state of New Jersey, governor, assembly, Senate, Supreme Court, everything, and many of the municipalities, they ordered the closure some years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, of five fossil fuel plants, energy plants, and one nuclear plant. That has now resulted because they never built green plants that they were supposed to. That money
Mm.
just kind of went poof. We don't know where the billions and billions went. Yet we pay the highest taxes in the whole country. And now we just had a tripling of our energy costs, tripling because we have to buy energy from
Wow.
surrounding states. And yet everybody goes, not my fault, not my fault, not my fault. Yep. That's what happens when, and by the
Wow.
way, the Republicans would have probably done the same thing. This is what happens when you have one party rule. It happens in New York City. It's happening in LA. One party rule. They think they're kings and queens and they try to get away with it. We could go on for hours about it. The former mainstream media news anchor like myself, Dave Bondy, editor of the Keeping It Real newsletter and host of Keeping It Real with Dave Bondy on Substack and other formats as well. But Substack is the best way to get it. Thank you, as always, my friend, for joining us this morning. And run for Senate, Dave. Run for Senate. I'll support you.
I don't want any part of
What?
that.
Katie would kill you. Katie would kill you. Your
Yeah,
wife.
yeah, she would, and it's all about the late. Whatever the wife wants, that's what happened. Yeah.
That's why you will be happy forever if you ignore what I just said a minute ago.
Thank you.